Assalamu alaikum. Hopefully I got the pronunciation of that right. As a new revert, I'm still learning absolutely everything. I just became Muslim recently at the wonderful delight of my husband, who has been a revert for a little over 5 years. And now I am wearing the Niqab thanks to a wonderful gift from Wise Worm off of Reddit, where I've been conversing a little bit to find out this and that and the other as I'm making my journey. This podcast is totally an introduction and chance to kind of document what I'm going through, what I'm experiencing. I wanted to talk a little bit today about the difference for me wearing the hijab versus the niqab. I have wore the hijab several times. First, when accompanying my husband when he first became a revert, and then more recently. And every time, I always felt like I stuck out like a sore thumb, very exposed, vulnerable, actually, was the biggest word. And I am not a small girl, so feeling vulnerable was a very uncomfortable condition, something that I was really not used to. And I found since I put on the niqab, that's completely disappeared. Not only do I find this absolutely lovely to look at, it's a very feminine feeling in an age where femininity seems to be defined by sexuality and even being claimed by men, which is just a whole nother topic we're not going to get into today. But I just feel really good being it. Has the added benefit that it protects me from the sun. I have light-colored skin and light-colored eyes. You'll not notice my eyes despite the fact that I have the niqab on right now, because I'm actually wearing sunglasses, because the light that's on this camera is super bright and just really hurts. So bear with me on that. Hopefully it's not too disturbing for anybody. I'm looking you in the eye, so to speak. But maybe that's not a good thing either. I'm told I'm not supposed to do that. It's another thing I have to relearn, but we'll get there one step at a time. Anyways, wearing the niqab in public has been a really interesting experience. Amongst locally, first of all, there's not a lot of Muslims at all. So when I do see a sister, she's usually like driving her car or something, and it's just in passing, and I'll give a nod of acknowledgement because we're not even close enough to say anything to one another. But when I go out around my local area, amongst the blacks, I'm pretty much treated like anybody else. Nobody even lifts an eyebrow or has any kind of different. I am what I am. Amongst whites, mostly I have found actual welcoming. I find that most people tend to look at me with maybe a little bit of reverence. There's respect there. It's like they respect the piety that wearing this commands or demonstrates. And I don't think it commands anything. I think it demonstrates that there's a level of piety. And that respect was not expected, and it's definitely welcomed. And I like being recognized as someone who is a believer in God, because that's something that's extremely important to me. Even when I first met my husband, our first encounter, of all the things we talked about, God came up and was part of the subject, because I didn't want to get to know anybody that I'd be interested in marrying in unless I knew that he had a strong belief in God and a foundation in that respect. So this is just something along the way that's always been important. And the other thing I get from some white people is just a look of contempt, maybe. And I think that's probably by and large based upon some of the media portrayals of people from Islamic nations, or that they think maybe that since I have this and they can't see me, then I must be some infiltrating person, and they see that as something that they don't want upsetting the balance of how they see their life or whatever. Can't help everybody, and you can't control what people think, so it's not really that big of a problem. Amongst the Hispanics, there has been very mixed response. It's either the jaw-dropping, fatal blue screen kind of, I don't know how to take this or respond to this when they see me, or absolute fear, like I'm some sort of alien from another planet. That's almost comical when it comes out. I'm not offended by it by any means. And there's nothing much I can do about it, so I just kind of make my way. I think part of it is because I'm rather tall. I tend to be a lot taller than most Hispanics, so I'm taller than the men, and then they see this obvious woman walking by them with this face covering, and they're just like, they don't know how to react to that. So it's different. It's weird, but I'm cool with it. I wish that there were more in my area, or that I lived in an area that had more people dressing like this, because I think the comfort levels would go way up. But compared to the hijab, I'm much more content wearing this. There's more benefits to it. I feel more at ease with it. And given the COVID days, I have a mask, a face covering, and I can breathe. So I'm very happy about that. Anyways, I can't think of much more to say for my introductory podcast, other than that if you enjoyed this, when you're making dua, could you please say a little prayer for me and my husband, as we've been trying desperately to conceive, and once again, I'm disappointed this month. So with your dua, make it your prayers. I have to say prayers because that's my word still. I'm working on it. I would very, very, very much love to have a child to raise completely Islamic. And thank you very much for your time. Hope to see you again. Ciao, ciao.